Wow. Well, welcome everybody to the noon meeting of the Rotary Club of Highlands Ranch. We're right on schedule here after a quick Zoom tutorial for those of us who've gotten a little bit rusty on Zoom. So yeah, we're up to 37. It keeps flowing in. It's a great snowy day here in Denver. So thank you, Zoom inventors and Zoom creators, for making this possible for us to get together in the warmth and comfort of our homes and offices and vacation places and retirement communities and wherever else you might be. We're going to kick it off here. Oh, by the way, if you're going to have some lunch or a snack, feel free to do so. Just make sure you mind your manners, because you are being recorded. But we're going to start off the meeting with the inspiration and pledge, and our district governor Ray Anderson is going to lead us with the inspiration. So let me hand it over to Ray.
Great, thanks, Bill. Great to see all of you today. And I ventured out this morning buying some paper products, and I can tell you it's a little slippery and icy. So beware of that. I've got a few passages. I always, when I do the inspiration, I always like to go to the Rotary Book of Readings, and this one centers around peace. So a few passages from some recognizable people in our history. First, from Ronald Reagan: peace is not absence of conflict, it is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. And then from Martin Luther King Jr.: peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. And then the infamous Eleanor Roosevelt writes, "It isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe it, and it isn't enough to believe it. One must work at it." And then a few more here. From Harry S. Truman: "It is understanding that gives us an ability to have peace. When we understand the other fellow's viewpoint and he understands ours, then we can sit down and work out our differences." And then finally, from past RI president, I'm going to mispronounce his name and I apologize for that, but Buchi Raktakul. He was from Thailand, and he was president of Rotary International from 2002 to 2003. So he leaves us with this: "I believe we can change the world one life at a time. No project is too small or insignificant, especially to those who benefit. My hope is that these seeds of service will blossom and live on for countless generations to come." So as we all serve as Rotarians to serve to change lives, I ask you to stand if you can and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bill, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, it's great to see you, and thanks for those inspirational messages about peace. And I know that through the good work that we as Rotarians do every day around the world, that we're moving peace in the right direction. So thanks for those reminders, Governor Ray. Okay, we've got a few visiting Rotarians and guests here. Let me start with, I can't find you now, Katrina. I think you sometimes go by Trina, but just introduce yourself quickly and let everybody know how you found us.
Sure. So my full name is Katrina. I go by Trina, and my page was Eric, which I changed. So sorry to confuse all the names. Trina Johnson. I live in Highlands Ranch, right up by Quebec, by the post office. I used to teach at Redstone Elementary, first grade for years and years. My kids are in school at Rock Canyon and Wildcat. I got into real estate. I had more time. Everybody kept telling me, I volunteer a lot, and I made up a friendship group, and they said, you know what, you should look at this Rotary if you really want to see how to help the community. So I Googled it and here I am. That's all I know.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, we think whoever told you should check out Rotary was on the right track. And we have a wonderful, wonderful club with some very generous and thoughtful and kind people. And we have a lot of fun. So we hope that you find yourself welcome here. Unfortunately, we're Zoom here for a little bit, but we'll be back in person here hopefully soon. So welcome and yeah, enjoy and feel free to put something in the chat or say hello to some friends or ask questions along the way. So welcome, Trina.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Also, just want to say hi to my dad. He's a visiting Rotarian. I think everybody knows Jim Zimmerman. So nice to have you on here as always, Dad. Let's see. I see Bob Pence. He's going to be our speaker. So we'll have him introduced here shortly. So have I missed anybody else? I know we're to 2 screens here and up to 44. That's pretty good. Tell me if I've missed somebody. Okay, I think maybe we got everybody. All right, I guess with that, we'll move on to the program and Sue Bramley is going to introduce, I think it's going to be a fascinating program, but I won't take any of your thunder. Oh, I do see Anthony on here. Anthony, are you a visiting Rotarian or guest, or unmute yourself and let us know who you are?
Yeah, I'm a guest. I actually just had been speaking with Elaine recently about Rotary. I've been interested in your WASH program, just kind of, and its compatibility with what I do in my job and Rotary. I've moved into the area a couple of years ago and just really have started to look at Rotary and the WASH program and where it kind of crosses with what I do with Aquifer, which is my company brings drilling to remote regions of the world, and we have a state-of-the-art drill that we work with. So again, it was looking at Rotary and WASH and where it all kind of worked together.
Awesome. Well, I didn't see you sneak in. I'm glad I saw you. It looks like you're maybe in your car, and yeah,
yes,
great that you can join us. And yeah, Rotary's got lots of things going on around the world with the WASH program, and Steve Werner's a real leader in Rotary, and he's a good friend of mine and a good friend of our club. So if you don't know him, we'll definitely need to connect you with Steve here soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Hi,
Yeah.
Anthony. Good to see
Hello.
you. Hello.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's Sue, go ahead and why don't you introduce our program for the day?
Sure. Well, with 30 years with the FBI, today's speaker, Bob Pence, has got a lot of stories. A lawman extraordinaire, he's involved with the International Chiefs of Police, the National Sheriffs, and the FBI, National Executive Institute. So we can all learn, I'm pretty sure, something from him. So please welcome today's speaker, Bob Pence. Bob?
Thank you, Sue. Sorry I can't see you all in person, but looking outside, I'm kind of happy that I have you virtually instead of in person today. I'm here really because I'm on a book tour right now. I had a publisher who approached me 3 or 4 years ago, actually before the pandemic, and told me that he'd heard that I had a lot of stories and a lot of audiences had asked about a book. And he attended a couple of my speeches and then told me, yes, I'd like to publish your book. But I kept telling him that I'm in the air most of the time and I really don't have time. I take notes with me and fall asleep as the plane pulled back from the gate. So then the pandemic came. And if any good came from this pandemic, as far as I'm concerned, that probably is what happened after that. So the publisher then called me and he said, Bob, I don't think you're flying right now. And indeed, I wasn't. I had a trip to South Carolina, I was going to speak to the South Carolina police chiefs at Myrtle Beach. And that was the beginning of March 2020. And they called me and they said, there's something going on. A lot of our chiefs are ill. We don't know whether we're going to be able to have the conference. And indeed, they called back shortly and said, it's canceled. So I had to cancel my flight. Thought I'd be back in the air in a few weeks after whatever this was moved on. That was my last flight in 2020. So the publisher then said, well, I don't think you're flying. So what's your excuse now about this book? So I agreed, and I spent pretty much the entire year after March working on a book. And he told me, I want you to put in this book anything you are thinking about. I know your stories are interesting and I hear good things, but you must have other thoughts about what's going on in the world. So I really did. I put a lot into this book. And it's very difficult now since the book came out at the end of 2020 and it's been working its way around. It's now in the second printing, and it's very difficult for me to summarize. That's the big problem I'm having. People say, well, tell us about the book. And I say, well, I spoke to a group of women a few weeks ago, and they wanted to know about female FBI agents. What does it take to be a female FBI agent? Well, I had a whole chapter in the book about that, and that was an easy one because I could tell them basically what was in that chapter. But to say what is in all these chapters, 26 of them, is very difficult for me to summarize and do it with any degree of interest. So I believe in talking to Sue, I think I'm going to have a chance to do two things. I'm going to be able to spend some time with you today virtually. And then I believe we're booked for a personal visit. And what I'd like to do today is maybe talk about some of the good things, the stories that the people would come up after and say, hey, where's the book? And then save some of the challenges that I confronted as an FBI agent in the last 30 years, and then talk about a problem that we really all have, and that is our escalation into a violent society. And it's really probably worse than a lot of people think. I mean, it's bad enough what you read in the media, but I think if you knew really what's possibly happening, I think you'd realize it may even be worse than that. So if it's okay with everybody, I'll start with a few stories about my career and then maybe save until I see you in person with what I think are the challenges. And there are two really big challenges that I had to face in my 30 years. And then the challenge that I'm talking about in this violent society is one that we all have to face. I'd like to, during a period of my started with J. Edgar Hoover in the 60s, and Mr. Hoover was very powerful, as most of you probably have heard of him and probably know that he was a pretty powerful, certainly a powerful FBI director. He started the Bureau. He took it over in 1924 after it had been riddled with corruption and peopled with political hacks. So he told the Attorney General in 1924, I'll take over this division of investigation if you can assure me that I can hire my agents on the basis of merit, that they will all be college graduates, and they will all follow the Constitution. So he was accepted, and he accepted the job. It never became the FBI until 1935. Before that, it was a division in the Bureau of Investigation, but then it became the FBI. I entered it in a time when we were just passing laws that would allow everybody who was a citizen of this country to vote. And I was going to wait and talk about that probably in the next session, because that was one of the most challenging times that I spent in the Bureau. But along about the 70s, I was appointed to be the assistant agent in charge in the state of Kentucky. I love Kentucky. I'd never been there before. I got assigned and I was in Louisville. And I found it probably one of the most interesting assignments that I could have had. They had more different kinds of crime. For an FBI agent, obviously, you're interested in the work. And I found it very much in Kentucky. So I'm going to tell you today about two kidnappings, two different, very different kidnappings, and what I learned, excuse me, what I learned in both of them and how different they were. Around about 1975, 76, an escaped prisoner out of Virginia kidnapped a child, a elementary school child, in Independence, Virginia, which is right on the border between Virginia and Kentucky. I, at the time of this, was the number 2 man, was the assistant agent in charge in Kentucky. And we got a call from the FBI office in Richmond, covering Virginia, that said that there had been a kidnapping and that they, based on a wiretap, had information that the kidnapper and the victim were currently in a park in the southern part of Kentucky, Lake Cumberland State Park, if you're familiar with Kentucky. Supposedly, the kidnapper had the child in the park, and we were responding immediately. The SAC, who was the special agent in charge, was my boss. He flew down to the park in Bureau plane. I went 150 miles with lights and siren. One of my longer trips in an emergency capacity. We got there as it's starting to get dark. Agents were coming from all directions through the state of Kentucky. Louisville controlled all the offices in Kentucky. We all got there, and the agents who got there first spotted the kidnapper and spotted the little victim. We decided that based on the fact that there was a hostage, we would not be able to approach safely with an immediate lights and siren approach. So what they decided to do, and two important things happened here. Mr. Hoover did not want females to be FBI agents. When he passed away in 1972, we were started to recruit female agents rather quickly, and we had one assigned to the Louisville office. That female was one of the responders, as well as our SWAT teams, to this kidnapping. When they got there, they formulated this plan. They said, we know the man is there, we see his car, we see the two of them together. We aren't going to be able to approach as officers of the law, so they figured this plan. They said, let's dress as maintenance people, get into one of the park's vehicles, which was a maintenance and not one of their safety security vehicles. They approached the rear end of the subject's car, and they parked right behind it. The woman our female agent got out of one side, the male agent got out of the other. They approached the victim and the subject from two directions with the idea that they were requesting whether they needed help sitting there in the park. As the male agent got to the driver's side and said, "Can we help you?" the female went to the victim on the passenger side. But then the FBI male agent announced that it was FBI, you're under arrest. The man started to reach behind him. He had several weapons in the back. But an amazing thing happened. Our female agent dove into the passenger side, got the little girl, pulled the little girl out, got the little girl on the ground and lay on top of her. The male agent, when the man started to reach for the weapon, he had to tap the gentleman on the head a little bit and effected the arrest peacefully. So we got the guy and we rescued the little girl. Then we notified Virginia that the victim had been released safely and that they could come and reunite. And then another great thing happened. A lot of our troops then were able to disband and start moving back. I stayed in the lodge for this hotel, for this resort, with the little girl. And it took some time, several hours, for the people from Virginia to get there. So I let the little girl sit and watch cartoons and waited and waited, and she got composed and she got settled. And then a few hours later, the agents outside said, "Mr. Pence, there's a lot of people coming from Virginia." So I said, "Fine." And then the door exploded open. And there were the parents. There was the mayor. There was the police chief. There were a number of Virginia State Police. There were the school principal. It was an army, a convoy of people. And I sat there and as I realized something that I probably have been taken for granted for too long. And that was the value of one single solitary person. So they stayed overnight, courtesy of the lodge, the Kentucky Lodge. And next morning, before the group got prepared to go back to Virginia, I said goodbye to the little girl that I'd been spending time with. And I said, "Is there anything you would like before you leave? Are you okay?" And she said, and she whispered to me, she said, "Mr. Pence, when we were walking through the gift shop yesterday, I saw this hat that had this raccoon and a tail on the back, like Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone. I really liked that. I didn't have to say any more. The lodge manager jumped out of his seat and led the delegation over to the gift shop. And the little girl got her raccoon cap, and pretty much after that, they all got in their vehicles and got back. And I thought, as I traveled back to Louisville a lot slower than I went there, I kept thinking to myself, we really need these female agents. They are going to be very helpful to us. And as I said before, the other thing I really realized was how important just one little person was. And I never forgot that. And I've tried to maintain that through the rest of my career in the Bureau and then afterwards. That was one of the kidnaps that I remember very vividly, and it was very successful. It was the way we liked them to end, but nobody got shot. One guy got hurt, but he got arrested and went back to prison, I think pretty much for the rest of his life. A little bit later, another type of kidnap occurred, and I thought you might be interested in this. We had a visitor out around Lexington, Kentucky, at Claiborne Farms, a very important visitor. His name was Secretariat. He was a Triple Crown winner, 1973. And after he won and was in retirement, he was a very valuable stud horse. In order to make love to other horses, it cost about $250,000, they tell me, the stud fee. It just so happened at that time, around 1977, that one of his lovers to be was a horse of the year in Canada. Her name was Fan Freluche, and she was a very popular horse, and they thought that the two of them would have a profitable child. But somebody apparently also thought that that horse would be very valuable. So one night, while Fan Freluche was outside the stable, somebody put down a trail of straw, hay, to a back fence and seduced her back there and kidnapped Fan Freluche. This was really an international incident. It caused inquiries, public media inquiries from all over the world about how they would lose the horse of the year from Canada. So we put stops on any way that a horse could be taken, any distance. So we had stops at every airport, every port, every possible way that that horse could be taken away from the stable at Claiborne Farms. It took several weeks, but we finally got a tip. Somebody said in the southern part, right on the border with Tennessee, they said there's a strange horse that is pretty shaggy, but it looks like somebody was trying to hide it. We responded to that along with the Kentucky State Police. And indeed, it was Fan Freluche. Could tell by her markings on her head. She was still pregnant. The ambulance from Claiborne Farms was like a palace on wheels with chandeliers, and it was a very elegant operation they have with all these famous horses. They responded, brought Fan Freluche back, and nursed her back, got her trimmed, and had a successful child. I was very honored to be called up to Claiborne Farms, and they invited me to have some private time with the great Secretariat. And what a horse he was. They said, Mr. Pence, we don't recommend that you try to board him because he's very spirited, and it would not be a happy event. But they did let me walk him around with the reins, and I had a nice conversation. It was kind of one-sided, but I was telling him that we did recover his lover, and she had a successful child, and that we hope that he feels better about it. And I got a lot of his head going up and down a lot, and some what I consider very friendly sounds coming out of him. And so I think it was very happy. I got a nice photograph and an opportunity for a photo op, which absolutely made me very happy. And there's a picture of that in this book that I was talking to you about. But that was a successful kidnap and a successful recovery of a very different type. And it didn't sit well with our Congress. At that time, some of you may remember, in the 70s and 80s, there was what turned out to be a rumor going around that our children were being kidnapped all over this country, hundreds of thousands of them. It really wasn't true, but once these rumors start, it's very difficult to get them stopped. But really what was happening, we had a lot of children being kidnapped by their other parent against court orders. So we had some criminal activity there with those types of kidnaps. And we had a lot of runaways in those days, but we did not have stranger type kidnappings that were taking them from the parents. But that fell on deaf ears with the particularly some senators. Remember, we had missing children on milk cartons, we had them on candy bar wrappers, we had them on billboards. We had a lot of activity trying to find these children. Well, what happened is they tried to compare apples and oranges. They said, here the FBI spends tremendous amount of resources to try to find a horse when we've got children being kidnapped off the streets. And it took a long time for us to work that out, to indicate and to prove to them they were not the same thing. We investigated that stolen horse in a federal statute called Interstate Transportation of Stolen Property, ITSP. It was not a kidnapping of a live person. But it worked out, I think, and eventually they figured it out, and we got the credit for it. So those are two kidnappings. I thought they were different, and it was typical of some of the really interesting cases that came out of Kentucky that I enjoyed very much. I'll tell you one more. There was one bank robbery case, and this was after I got transferred to North Carolina. I was the agent in charge in the state of North Carolina, and we had a lot of bank robberies, and we had cute names for these bank robbers. But we had a bank robbery gang that was very dangerous, and I'll tell you, and the reason I'll tell you this story is because this involved one of the nicest comments or compliments I got from a bank robber. That's very unusual, but here's how it happened. Actually it was Halloween, 1984. And I was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which is over in the furthest eastern part of the state of North Carolina. I was having lunch with the police chief in Rocky Mount, and I had an emergency page from my office in Charlotte that they had received information from Atlanta that a dangerous bank robbery gang was responsible for a robbery that happened a few days before that. And they were holed up on a mountaintop in the farthest east or west part of the state of North Carolina, over around Andrews, around Murphy, in a very sparsely populated mountaintop. And they had just robbed a bank in that area around Asheville, and they were preparing for others. So I, at that time, being what we call the SAC, the special agent in charge, the Bureau mandates that the SAC, in any case that involves potential harm or potential risk or possible danger to any of our people, has to be on scene. So I had to leave Rocky Mount and travel over to the furthest western part of North Carolina, which is almost 300 miles. And I had to do it with the lights and siren. That's the longest ride I had in an emergency capacity. I got there, already the Atlanta SWAT team was en route because they had picked up the information that they were up there. My SWAT team out of Charlotte was en route. We have an elite hostage rescue team that's always maintained at Quantico, Virginia. It's a large 40 some of, and all they do is train for kidnappings and extrications of violent incidents. We had a little time, since it took me a long time to drive across the state. So I called them and asked them if they'd like to monitor this and study it. So I kind of invited them because I figured my SWAT team would handle it. When I got there, we had the SWAT teams, and we had pretty good information from the owner of this cabin at the top of the hill. He was able to tell us all of the residents that were all the way up the hill, and we told them so they could be evacuated. We had the North Carolina State Patrol to block the roads all the way up to the mountain. And we had all of our agents locating the cabin, which was all the way at the top. However, since it was dark, we decided that we would not make a move because we heard that there were 2 of them in there and that they had 2 women with them. This gang had a reputation for being very violent. And since we had hostages, possibly, we decided to just circle the cabin, wait until daylight, not do anything about it. One thing happened to our benefit. It was the Dixon gang. He usually worked with one other accomplice on these robberies. And we found out that the other one in the cabin with Dixon was a guy from Marietta, Georgia, and a girl or a woman. Halfway through the night or earlier, those 2, not Dixon, but the other one and his woman, went down the mountain, and they were tracked by the SWAT team from Atlanta. They got down to the bottom and there was a convenience store open. They went in there, and the Atlanta SWAT team was able to take him down without firing. They said the whole place was shaking and potato chips were flying, but they were able to take him down and place him under arrest. We worried about Dixon being up in the cabin when the other gentleman didn't get back. What would Dixon do? Well, apparently he didn't do anything because it was quiet and we had the cabin surrounded. So the next morning, we had one of our airplanes up, surveillance craft, circling the place. So he was well covered. And about 9:15 a.m. in the morning, we get a call from the plane that Dixon is out. He's in jogging shorts. It appears that's all he's got on, and it doesn't appear that he is armed. So I gave the command to go ahead and take him down. So agents came from every direction, and they had him down without shooting him, without hurting him. The woman was unclad in the cabin, but she was not part of it. She was not arrested. So an interesting thing happened, and this is why I was so pleased with this. The word came down from the guys at the top of the mountain. They said, Dixon's got a message for you. And I said, okay. And he said, tell the boss that this was a fine, damn fine bust. I said, well, thank you for that. We searched the place in there, and it was well worth the wait because he had a lot of dynamite, he had machine guns, he had other automatic weapons, a lot of pistols, well armed under every piece of furniture. Everything was in there that could have caused a minor war or certainly another several bank robberies. The only downside to that case we lost one of our coded radios. And the Bureau doesn't like to lose equipment. So that troubled me. And we went back to Charlotte after the case was wrapped up. Unfortunately, after a few days, we had an anonymous call that the FBI radio is down at the bottom of the Tallahatchie River, down around Atlanta, Georgia. And it's there if you want it. And they got very specific about where it was located. Well, we had one of our dive teams go down, and sure enough, we recovered the coded radio. And that made the case perfect. We got 3 people, we got all our equipment back, and it was the nicest thing that a robber ever said to me. Those are a couple of the cases that I thought I'd mention to you. I don't know. Sue, do we have time for any questions?
I think we do. Does anybody have any questions? Well,
Hey, Bob. Hey, Bob, did you catch the guy that stole the horse? I
Oh,
assume you
yes,
did.
we got the guy out. It was kind of a dumb thing to do, thinking they could get that horse out of the area or out of the country. But they weren't geniuses. There were a couple of them involved, and they were from down around that Tennessee area. So that ended happily too. And
Okay.
of course, the horse was not injured. So I don't recall what the sentence was, but it ended successfully.
And you didn't, no international incident for that one.
Did the radio work when you got it back? Did the radio work?
One other thing I want to tell you about Secretariat, that horse stayed there. That was in like 1977. The horse was out at Claiborne Farms, along with several other of the, the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby, all the big horse winners. And he lasted in a stud capacity for some years. They had to put him down in 89, so he stayed there about 10 years. He developed a serious hoof disease that made it very painful for Secretariat to get around. So they had to put him down, and then they did a necropsy in him. And they found in Secretariat one of the largest perfect hearts of a racehorse that they had ever seen, the vets. And out of honor to Secretariat, they buried Secretariat with his whole body. Normally what they bury with the racehorses or with horses there, they bury them with their head, their hoof, and their heart. They buried Secretariat with the entire body.
That's a really good story. We've had a couple of questions that came in through chat. One person wanted to know if the radio that you found at the bottom of the river still worked.
I don't recall if it worked. We were just so concerned that nobody else got it.
There you go.
It must have been taken. They must have lost it at the scene there. One of the women who were not charged, but were from the Atlanta area, must have found it, taken it down there, and realized it was a pretty odd item and they better get rid of it. But it was admirable that they gave us such excellent directions about how to get to it. And
Yeah.
I really don't know whether it worked, but it went back into our storage and it was there. So
Good.
that's the
And
important
then
thing.
there was one other question. The kidnapper, the first story that kidnapped the child, how did that happen? Did he just go and find this little kid, or, I mean?
He was an escapee, a federal prison escapee. He had, somebody had helped him get out and give him several weapons. He then just happened to go to the house belonging to this family in Independence, which is a very small town. And barged in there, held them up, kidnapped the child, stole their car, and then he was calling back from the park demanding a ransom. He wanted them to come, and he needed more money, and he was going to keep the child until they got there. But fortunately, we got there a little before they did. So I couldn't be happier with the performance of our female agents, and now we have 20% of the FBI agent staff are female agents.
That's really good to know. I'm thinking that when you come back in April, perhaps you could bring copies of your book. And if anyone wants to buy them, do you have that available?
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what I'll do, Sue. I will send you what the publisher has put out. They put out some reviews that people have been sending in about the book. So I'll send you a couple pages of reviews, and I'll send you what the book I can show you what the book looks like.
So, hey, Bob,
Can you see that okay?
Hold it up a little bit higher. Yeah, that's good. Maybe you could put the name and how, if someone wanted to order a copy of the book, would you be able to type that into the chat in the next bit of time?
I'll tell you what I'll do is if I get that to Sue, can you distribute that by email or something?
Yeah, no
Yes.
problem.
So I'll send you the page that the publisher's putting out that shows how you get the book. And pretty simple. The publisher's here in Denver area, and there's a phone number, 303 phone number that a lot of people are ordering it, and it's also on the website, and it's easy to get it. But I'll send you
Yes, do that and we'll take care of that. Thank
phone
you.
numbers, and then I'd be happy to bring some with me at the if someone order it. And before that would be a good review about some of the stuff that I'll be saying when I see you in person. There's a lot in the book. I can tell you, to summarize, not the data, but this has got stories like that from all of my assignments, and there were a lot of assignments, New York City, and a lot of places that I spent time, and interesting things happened everywhere I went.
I'll bet.
Yeah, but a lot of what I did after I retired had to do with juvenile justice, and I learned an awful lot about what crimes are out there that juveniles are responsible for, and the part they play in the criminal violence that we're seeing today. And then the last few chapters of the book have everything to do about what I think has caused the violence, what I think possibly can help, if not totally prevent it, at least ease it. And then I can talk about some of the techniques and some of the reasons that I think this has all happened.
Yeah, that'd be great, Bob. There's lots of questions coming in the chat. Maybe you could look at that when we sort of wrap up your part. We've got lots of other things to cover, but it was a fascinating presentation. Someone's put the link to your book already in the chat, and we really appreciate you making the time to visit with us and sharing some of your a couple of big stories from your fascinating career in the FBI. And so on behalf of the club, our club is going to make a donation in your honor to the Polio Plus campaign, which is working towards eradicating polio from the world, as you may know. And with the match from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we'll be able to vaccinate up to 30 children. So we really thank you, Bob.
And along those lines, I understand that your project has already pretty much secured the country of Africa. That Africa now is polio free, and now you're working on Afghanistan and a couple other places.
Well, yes, thank you for sort of sharing your awareness of that. We're glad that folks outside of Rotary are in tune with the good work that we and others folks around the world are doing towards the eradication of polio. So and again, thank you very much, and we look forward to having you back again and hearing some more stories. So let's give Bob a round of applause here.
Thank you, folks. It was great to be with you, and I look forward to seeing you. I believe it's in April.
Great. That's
Bye
good. Thank you
bye.
again. You're welcome to stay on, Bob, and enjoy the rest of our meeting. And
What are you doing?
I think I've got, actually, I've got a conference call I've got to get to here. But okay. I do appreciate your time, attention, and your willingness to have me spend some time with you.
Delighted
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, well, next up on the agenda, Kevin Meiser and Connie Golis are going to give us a little bit of an update on the Afghan refugee project and effort that the two of them and others have been involved with. So, Kevin, I saw what looked like a picture of you, and Connie, I think I saw your picture. So you guys take it away.
Okay, let me, if I can, share the screen.
Yeah. I don't know if.
Yeah, I made you co-host, so you should be able to see the big green share screen button.
And there we go. Hey, so this is a very exciting thing. We've been working on this for a couple months. It's time to talk to you, the members of the club, as to where we are. As you know, quite a few of the people that supported our troops overseas that were Afghan are coming into Colorado. And we are looking to provide support to them. So well, I'll get into that, but you know, it is all about perspective. So hopefully after a couple decades over there, they enjoy Colorado, and we in Rotary can help a lot. So the goal of the project was to support Afghan refugees in a realistic way, while at the same time thinking through the feedback that happened in the visioning process. For the newer members, Bill and Tammy were nice enough to ask the membership what they wanted, and they got some different feedback. Some of the things were to do things in the community so people knew who Rotary was. The ability to have hands-on efforts with the people being helped and not just cut a check. To find projects that went across the various club committees. This one involves domestic or community service, international, it involves military, maybe public relations, as we'll see later. Basically working towards a long-term impact and not a temporary solution. And there was some feedback, which was nice and honest. Prefer to support those who are looking to join in the effort and support it. And this project does everything. So we're going to give you a brief overview of what we're doing. And at the end, if you want to find out more, let myself or Connie Golis know. So the APAs, the Afghan Placement and Assistance Program, it's called Operation Allies Welcome because it's a State Department military thing and they love cool names. But basically tens of thousands of Afghans, including SIVs, which are people who worked alongside the US military, but didn't have the protection of the uniform. Again, these would be translators that went out into the field and protected our troops, but then didn't get to go to the safety of Bagram base, had to go back to their house. They didn't get to go into the green zone, you know. They're being relocated because if they stay there, they would be killed. No way to talk about it, right? The first stop was barrack housing at the US base where they've been in processing. They go through background checks, they receive all the vaccines, and then from there they get placed in a US city. This program is designed to specifically provide initial relocation for the fleeing Afghans, and we'll get into more of that later. People wonder what it means. Are they citizens? They're not citizens. They can go on the path to citizenship, and we'll see what happens. But They're basically subject to and protected by all the laws, obligations, penalty, and rights that we are. So here are 3 pictures to get some idea as to what's going on. The one on the left is to give you a scale of what the plane looks like. In the middle, they had multiple flights. There's approximately 600 people in this plane, which is designed for Jeeps and everything, and potentially 125 passengers. So as you can tell, there, and you might have heard on the news, there was a balancing act between giving everyone a lot of warning and doing a great job. Over on the right, I picked this one because the interpreter has their back to us, and they're working with, looks like a private. On the left, talking to the local population about what's going on. A lot of these people went and helped. I worked with someone who would go on a raid. He mentioned they would have been gone, killed, whatever you want to say, neutralized, if they didn't have their interpreter on many occasions. It was a very unique time over there, right? So now these people have supported us. They have no VA benefits. They have no nothing. And so the Rotary Club of Highlands Ranch is looking at getting involved. There are 3, we looked at 7 or 8 things all the way through the State Department, but there were 3 local areas that cut the initial cut. Centennial Club is involved, and they have sent 12,000 into Lutheran Family Services, and they're waiting for a family to be assigned. They're looking for a certain match based on what they have. The Centennial Club is fully funded and more than adequately staffed, let's say. So this is not the avenue for us. We're going to stay in touch with them. We're going to get all the lessons learned, but we're going to look elsewhere. The next one was Project Worthmore. They're over in Aurora. They offer great cultural classes, some language classes. Basically, they're full also. The third one is called International Rescue Committee. They are very well organized, and they have various opportunities to support. And we're looking to go through International Rescue Committee. And the different options that IRC has are on the next page. So we'll go through that. The first one is they call community sponsorship. That is anywhere from 3 to 12 months. The average is 6 months, 10 grand, plus 3 to 5 for additional in-kind goods, plus TBD. On-site time is a couple days a week. Our thought was we're going to skip this one. If there's a growing desire, then maybe we can approach this, but this seems like too much to cut off and deal with as our first assignment. It's best to take on less and do it right and have fun. The second one is called Home. Time varies. The average is 3 months. Basically, we do everything from welcoming the family, outfitting the home, offer mentorship, local customs, transportation, how our banking system works, how to get a job, English as a second language, where to apply for schools. And this seemed to fit in well with the style and love that our Rotary group has. You know, if this isn't what you in particular want to do, or if you want to do more, number 3, there are also ad hoc opportunities. Let Connie or I know, and we can hook in with the emails. They will send out something that says, this family needs a ride to the doctor, or this family needs groceries picked up, or whatever. So that's just in case you're looking for extra. So what is the home item? The home program involves the apartment setup, welcoming them with groceries, a warm meal, a initial subsidy, and then mentorship, if you will, friendship, and non-judgmental communication. And this is what we're looking at. If you're interested, again, let Connie Golis or I know. So again, what's next? Let us know. Any way you want to let us know is fine. You can email us, you can text us, you can send a carrier pigeon like Bill does. Our numbers are on the bottom. One of the things I wanted to mention, though, is this is expected to be very rewarding and fun. But if you're looking to get involved and have pictures to post on Facebook, if you're looking to get involved and talk to your friends about the names of the families, that's not good. The Taliban, ISIL or ISIS, depending upon how demeaning you want to be, is actively looking through social media and actively looking for the names of families that have been relocated and are doing well here. And then ISIL is kidnapping their family that remains in Afghanistan and extorting them for money. So these are folks that are fleeing here. And it's up to us to watch the OPSEC, to watch the security and treat them not just with cultural respect, but yeah, just to do it right. So if you're interested, let Connie Golis or I know, and hopefully I stayed within my time, Bill.
But I'd like to say something.
Yes, please. Yeah, I was trying to get through the time.
First, I want to say thank you to Kevin, because he has been doggedly looking into these resources and agencies and has really done a great job. This presentation is just to give you an idea of how he kind of went down through several organizations. To me, our inspiration that we had today is perfect for this, because we are spreading and providing peace to people who have sacrificed everything and lost everything and are still probably looking at the TV when they can and finding out that their families that they had to leave behind are at great risk at home and watching the malnutrition, starvation, and all of that. So please feel free to contact either of us. We really want people who are interested in getting involved and your feedback.
Awesome. Thank you both. And I'm sincerely grateful for your interest in all the work that you both, and it sounds like Kevin's put a lot of time into this to bring this opportunity to everybody in the club, to support these folks that were, like you said, alongside of our military as we were working on things over there in Afghanistan. So yeah, sounds like a really cool opportunity to get sort of first-hand connection and really connect with these people who've sacrificed a lot. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Connie, and look forward to hearing more about progress and some success stories and all that. So Connie, one more thing.
One other thing is they're intending to close those military bases. Oh, wait, I'm in my mute.
You're good.
They're intending to close the military bases by the end of February. Sometimes these families come with as little as 2 days notice. Wow. Sometimes as much as a week. It may be a family of, well, the interpreter who talked to us, he came over with his wife and 2 children. He spoke very good English. I don't know about his wife, and certainly the small children probably don't. But anyway, that's what we're talking about, is very beginning families who kind of have lost everything. They get a small stipend from the government once.
Wow.
And then they're expected to try to get a job and make it here and start to apply for asylum or other visas if they aren't eligible for the SIV visa. We can talk more later.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you a ton, you guys. Okay, moving right along in the agenda, I just wanted to add, so it's been fascinating for me the last 7 months as your president, and it's been an honor, and there's a lot of wonderful parts of this role. You see a lot of extra thank yous and come in, and sort of special notes that I get that are really not directed at me, but directed to the club. People decide to donate money, and sometimes it comes to my mailbox and I send it over. And I just wanted to take a minute to recognize 2 gifts that recently came in. One of them came in from Jim Simmerman. After he heard the presentation last week from Debbie and Steve, he was inspired and enthusiastic about what our club is doing. So he made a gift to the Highlands Ranch Rotary Foundation. And then a good friend of mine and a former member of our club, Joanne Six, she also recently sent in a gift just because she loves what our club's doing, and I keep her updated on some of the activities of our club. So another gift came in from her, and that's not the first time that she's donated to our foundation and our club. So I just wanted to share that bit of joy with everybody in the club. Next on the agenda is we're going to do a little recognition here, and Kari, this is your cue here to get to work here. So we're going to do the Paul Harris pin recognition. This is for members in our club who are generously donating to the Rotary Foundation. So I'm going to read off a list of names, and Kari, you can start putting these names up there. I think you should have this in the text message there. So I'm going to read off.
So it's
the
the whole list of names, not just Steve and Marion.
Right, it's the whole list of names, and I'm going to read off the the +2, +6, +5, and all those sort of different levels that these individuals have achieved. And then I'm just going to read a short recognition script that I have for them. So lots of these members are on the Zoom here with us today. So Arthur Cohn, Paul Harris +2, Bob Martin, Paul Harris +7 and +8. Let's see, John Higgy, Paul Harris +2, Patricia Snip, Paul Harris +1. I might be going too fast, Kari, but
yeah, I can only spotlight so many at a time, and so I think it's a little bit too fast. Maybe if everyone can go to the gallery view, and when he reads out your name, you can give a little hand wave so we can see everyone.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't aware of that limitation. So okay, so other folks that may not be here, Scott Davenport, Paul Harris +6, Shrin, I saw him on here, Paul Harris +5. Zig was on here, Paul Harris, Zig Berzin, Paul Harris +8, and Steve Miller +4, and Marion Trummer +3. So let me just read this because it's a really special time and a special contribution that these folks have made. So with the presentation of Paul Harris Fellow Recognition pin, the Rotary Foundation's way of expressing its appreciation for substantial contribution to its humanitarian and educational programs. It is named for our founder, Paul Harris, a Chicago lawyer who started Rotary International with 3 business associates in 1905. We move closer to a world of peace and goodwill today as these folks move up the ranks of Paul Harris recognition levels. Your gift to the Rotary Foundation's educational and humanitarian programs is a commitment to peace and to a better life for people across the world whom we may never meet. This is a truly selfless action. It is because of gifts like yours that the Rotary Foundation is able to carry out an array of programs that achieve beneficial changes in our world, improve living conditions, increase food production, better education, wider availability of treatment and rehabilitation for the sick and disabled, new channels for the flow of international understanding, and brighter hopes for peace. In becoming a Paul Harris Fellow, you all join a remarkable company of persons throughout the world, all recognized for their devotion to the ideal of goodwill, peace, and understanding. It is the goal of Rotarians the world over, and that each of you shares. It gives me great pleasure to present to you these pins. We congratulate you and we thank you for your commitment to the programs of the Rotary Foundation. So thank you very much, and I will get these pins to each of you once we have the opportunity to get back together in person. Okay, let's see. Jerry Sullen, friend, I know you have an update, and you can give us a quick update on what the nomination committee is doing, and I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Bill. We're in our second week now of going to the club and update you of where we are, as well as taking additional voting nominations, I should say, from the members if they want, if any of you want additional people running for the 2 areas that we're filling today. One is the board of directors, and on the board of directors that we are electing 3 members, new members to the board. 2 of them, the person who gets the most votes and the person who gets the second most votes will have 2-year terms, and the third person will have a 1-year term. This balances us out as far as having 2 and 2 elected every year. So anyway, I will tell you who they are. They're the Kari Brown, Claudia Caves, Reen Gotrin, Kevin Miser, and Elia Kinsey are the 5 nominated for the 3 spots on the board. So at this time, I will ask the membership, would you like to nominate any additional people for the board of directors of our club? This is very, very important, obviously important to the future of our club. So any nominations, additional nominations? This is the second week. We'll have 1 more week of nominations, and that'll close nominations. And at the end of this, I'll tell you what's going to happen at that point. But any more nominations for directors? I can't see any hands in front of me. Bill, do you see anything?
I don't see or hear anything, so I think that might be a sign that there's no more nominations for board positions.
Yeah, at this time, and you'll get 1 more chance to do that. We have one nomination, and that was by the nominating committee for president-elect in waiting, and that's Arthur Cohn. Are there any more nominations for president-elect in waiting nominee? Any more in that category? Okay, Bill, does it look okay from your point of view?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, let me tell you what happens next, and we will do this 1 more time. And then I have asked, and he has accepted, Phil Calderbank and Shrin Murthy and I will be counting ballots. And Phil is taking the lead in that area. We may do it email, or we may do it monkey survey. We're not sure. Probably we're leaning towards email right now. And the ballots nominations will close at the February 3rd meeting, a week from today. And you'll have until the 10th to get in whatever we need for you to get in for voting. We'll give you instructions at that time. Phil's heading that up, and we'll let you know how we're doing it. But we will close that on the 10th to give you time to get your votes in. But I'm really asking you to vote. You're all members, and we're all equal when it comes to voting or anything else in Rotary. And we really ask you to vote. So we'll have a vote of as many members as possible. So that's where we are right now, and it's going well. And next week will be our last week. We'll close it out, give you another week to get your ballots in. Any questions on that?
I think
okay, excuse me.
No, that's quite clear, and thank you for the thorough update and clarity on the process here, Jerry. Appreciate what you're doing, and like you said, it's a important part, and it is the future of our club and the leadership folks going into these leadership roles. So thank you again, Jerry, for everything there. Okay, lots of stuff going on in the district, but I know Governor Ray has an update and wants to just give everybody a reminder and some of the details on the upcoming district conference. So you can, Ray, why don't you fill us in here?
All right, thanks, Bill. Appreciate the opportunity to talk about the district conference, but before I do that, I just want to shout out to Kevin and Connie and thank them for bringing this program that other clubs are working on to our club. It's a great effort and much needed, so thank you to the two of you. And also congratulations to all the Paul Harris Fellows for taking that next step of supporting the Rotary Foundation. And then Jerry, I just have to say a big shout out to you and your committee, and I want to thank the nominees for stepping up. Not every club has a nominating committee. We at the district, in my capacity, try to get the other clubs and we give them all kinds of ideas based on Jerry's success about how to put together a nominating committee. But we are always, and Jerry, you get credit for this and your committee out in front, serving our foundation and our board of directors as well as future presidents. So thank you for that. Wanted to bring you all up to date, and I appreciate this opportunity regarding the district conference that's coming up on April 29th and 30th. And behind the scenes, Tammy and Bill and I, together with Bev Mandel at the district office, have been working and brainstorming about putting together our district conference. As many of you know, and this is good information for new members, as I'm a member of this club, and so in my year of district governor, it's our club's opportunity to sponsor and organize the district conference each year. So Denver Mile High did it last year during Bob Kemp's tenure. And so it's our turn. And this is kind of a repeat performance for many of us as we worked with Mary Kay when she was district governor several years ago. So where we are quickly is that we have signed a contract with the hangar at Stanley Market. And so that's where the conference will be. We will have a House of Friendship set up on Friday afternoon with some entertainment that night for those that have been there to set up their tables. And that's district-wide. And we'll be opening registration for that and the conference. Hopefully we're shooting for the middle of February. So it will be, though technically speaking, a one-day event on Saturday. The theme is going to be youth. And we are currently looking at different potential speakers that will come and spend the afternoon and evening with us. Our keynote speaker on Saturday evening, along with the awards ceremony that we do every year to the district, will be speaking on empowering girls and boys. And the goal of the conference is, as grandparents and parents, to give information to us as to how we can work with the youth and support the youth. And we all know that over the last 2 years, and this is what we've all talked about, is we know that this pandemic has really affected and impacted our youth and our grandkids and children. So, pardon me. So we're excited about that. And through Bill and Tammy's input, that's the direction that we're going to go in. We'll be expanding the committee. A little different than Mary Kay's conference is that this has kind of changed over the years. Bev Mandel handles all the logistics, providing information regarding different venues and also handling registration. So the job for our club will be providing some sergeant at arms at the hangar to direct people into the hangar. And then as we build on some of these other committees, getting involved on that basis. So I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be a great venue. I'm excited that we can once again have a full-fledged House of Friendship during the conference. And we're inviting, of course, not only our club, but other clubs to show off what they've been doing. So with Kevin and Connie's efforts, of course, there'll be conversation that we'll be able to show off what we're doing with Afghan families. Of course, as Kevin points out, without pictures. Pardon me. So Bill, that's That's about it. More to come from the committee, and I'll be reaching out, and some of us will, to all of you for some additional help. So thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that. I know we're running out of time, but I know Patricia has a International Service Committee update that she wanted to share with the club. So Patricia.
There we go. My unmute button wouldn't work. Hi, thanks for giving me 2 minutes here. I just wanted to give the club a quick update on all the things the International Committee has been doing in the last couple of months. So we've had a busy month. We actually approved 4 different projects that we are going to support with funding so far, as well as our own efforts and manpower. So the 4 projects that we're supporting so far, once again, we're supporting the World Affairs Challenge at a level where we will continue to be at a sponsor level. So we'll keep working closely with them. And the big signature project this year is we are setting up a partnership with a group called Teach United. And this is going to be our big project. And I'm not going to give a whole lot of insight here because Phil is putting together a wonderful presentation for the club in early February. So I don't want to steal his thunder, but it's an amazing project and he has put so much time and effort into it. So look forward to that. It's going to be very exciting for everybody to learn more about it. And then the other 2 projects were actually projects that we supported that other clubs are doing. So this is something where Rotary helps each other. One project is through Denver Southeast, and it's a water project in Cameroon. And the other one is a health club. And I don't mean like a 24-hour fitness, go out and work out health club. In Kenya, they are actually doing seminars and teaching very basic skills that are sanitation, water, and very basic health and nutrition. So very great project. And we're all very excited that we were able to support those. So that's kind of what your International Committee has been up to. Thanks, Bill, for your time.
Patricia, Bill, can I just say about WAC, World Affairs Challenge? I just saved the date if you're interested in being a judge for the World Affairs Challenge. It's April the 2nd, Saturday, April 2nd. We are looking now for judges. I know some of you have done this before. It's a lot of fun judging these teams from Iraq, Morocco, Costa Rica, Turkey, and here in Colorado this year. So April 2nd, thank you.
Will it be virtual or will it be in person this year?
It'll be in person with some of the kids from the other countries dialing in virtually.
Great, thank you.
All right, moving on. Thank you. I know you guys have been busy, and I'm excited all the good things that we have the opportunity to get roll up our sleeves and get involved with and supporting other projects. And we really are serving to change a lot of lives just in our little club here. So, all right, family of Rotary concerns. I know of 2. If there's others, I'll let you chime in after I mention these 2. I think many of you know that Carolyn Bradish, still recovering from back surgery back in December. Had a good chat with her yesterday. She seems to have good spirits, but is still sort of slow and moving around, and is hopeful to get back to at least driving here shortly. So keep her in your thoughts and prayers, and reach out to her. Also, Bill Leeper, he had a fall on the ice 8 days ago, and he, I think, broke his hip, and he's actually in a rehab center near Mineral and Broadway. No visitors, but he would appreciate a phone call or a text message, because I'm sure he's bored over there doing whatever he's doing with 3 rehab sessions a day and eating bad food and things like that. So does anybody else have anybody else in our family that they want to mention? Guy, update on Claudia? Or
she's doing very well, thank you. I was at Independent Bank yesterday making a deposit, and got a chance to sit down and talk with Scott Davenport for a few minutes, and he seems to be doing really well. I mean, we had a nice conversation, and you know, the kind of spirit and twinkle in his eye that he always has was there. So it was great to see him, and he's like most of us missing, getting back together with the group. So looks like he's doing well. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for sharing that.
Hey, Bill.
Go ahead real quick, Gary.
This is Jerry Wilford. Hey, I took Goldie to see her oncologist this morning, and the treatments are working really good. She instead of going back every week, she doesn't have to go back for 6 weeks. And hopefully by that time, she said, maybe we can go back to 3 months. So anyway, the pills are working and she's doing great. So I just want to share it with everyone.
Well, great. Good to see you smiling, Jerry. And I know you're smiling because of that good news, and we're all smiling with you. So thanks for sharing that progress, and Goldie, and let her know that we are thinking about her and we love her. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. One more or any more that we got?
Elizabeth's desperate to get on here.
Go ahead, Elizabeth, and then Nancy.
Okay. Well, they still have a few more community service things that are in the works. The IFCS Pop the Trunk is February 16th. And don't forget to bring your collectibles over to Reen or Steve. They have decided to get them over to IFCS, and that includes the diapers and toilet paper and Depends and feminine hygiene. Okay. Project Cure is February 14th. Ronald McDonald is going to be January 28th. Connie Crawford House is February the 8th. Rotary readers sign up for February. Help and Hope, which was canceled this past month, is now come up with a new date in February. It's going to be February the 11th. It's only about 3 hours or more. You go down to Help and Hope, you're going to be painting some bathrooms or doing something like that. They really could use our help. So we have a few people signed up already for February the 11th, but would like 1 or 2 more. Project Angel Heart continues. The YES program, assist program, I think Jan Keaton has more information about that. So please get in hold of her. If you have anything you would like to get involved in there. Hopefully our next meeting, maybe in person, will be February 24th. I'm going to be gone for the next couple of weeks. So if you have Rotary hours, please call me or text me and I'll make sure you get in the book. Again, if members would like to start making blankets, it's a good time to do it. We might have a collection of blankets hospital for the end of February or early March. If you have any other ideas, please pop up with them. I am perfectly happy to see what we can do. I've also just gotten a message from, her name is Charlotte Rohn, ROEHM, and she is soliciting help for Rotary members for people and children impacted by the fires up in Louisville and Superior. If you would be interested in finding out more about that, you can go to her link. It is Charlotte Rohn, ROEHM @gmail.com. So anyway, I just got that in the mail here. So that's all I have. I'm sorry we didn't have an in-person meeting, but I thought that might be a little bit difficult. So signing off.
Okay, wow.
Any questions?
Maybe Connie has a question, and I know Nancy.
Please.
I don't have a question, but I have a statement. I still need some volunteer food for our military meal that we're doing on February 8th.
Okay.
I have a salad already and dessert, but I would love a couple of sides to go with probably sliced ham to be delivered or are picked up on Monday the 7th. So let me know if anybody wants to contribute. That's all.
All right, Nancy, you're next, and then Jerry.
Okay, I'm out.
Elizabeth, send me the email for this lady so I can put it in the wheel spinner, please. And I just want to say Connie Dix is doing well. I spoke to her yesterday. She's slow recovery. She doesn't start rehab until middle of February, but she is able to drive. So that kind of freed her wings. She's happy to be able to get out and about. But continue to keep her in your thoughts and prayers.
Nice. Thank you, Nancy. Go ahead, Jerry, someone friend.
Hey, Connie, anything where you're falling short on members contributing food for the Crawford House, a quarterly dinner. We can handle it on the military budget, and we could supplement it with that. Okay.
We didn't hear it, Connie, but it sounded like you were saying that sounds good. So, all right. I know we're at 1:30. I know there's a lot of happy people. If you have something better to do, I can't imagine what that would be. You can sign off, but let's do 5 minutes of happy bucks. So who wants to get the happy spirit going with a little bit of cash? Elizabeth, take yourself off mute and you're in.
Okay, I'd like to put $20. I just found out that my sister's grandson is graduating in a couple of months, and he's going to be a Navy SEAL.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that is absolutely fabulous. He's been wanting to do this for a number of years. He's been, directed in that you don't do this overnight. And I am just so proud of him. I really am.
It's incredible. Awesome. Yep. Thanks for sharing that. I'm happy. All right, Connie, I see your hand waving, and then Reen, you're next.
$10 to commend Arthur for his wonderful work at Ronald McDonald yesterday, because we made 50 meals, everybody, for the Ronald McDonald House in Aurora. So Denver's next. Ooh. And hopefully new volunteers.
Great news. All right, Reen, you're next, and then Jeannie.
I would just like to thank Steve Miller. The two of us loaded up all of the donations for this week from my garage studio, took them to IFCS. We had 5 large grocery carts full of paper products. And I just wanted to say that this drive goes on through February 3rd. So bring your paper products over. Todd was thrilled to see us, and we'll do it again.
All right. Thank you, Reen. I'm not sure if you said $1 or $2, but we'll
5.
5. All right. Sounds good. Who did I say? Jeannie, you're next. Go for it.
$20 for my grandson who just finished Special Forces and got his Green Beret, and now he's going to get married in February.
Wow. That's huge. Thanks for sharing that, Jeannie. Nice to get to know your family a little bit. Who else is waving hands? I can't see everybody here. Steve Miller, I see you pointing to the skies.
Yes, $20 in happy bucks, $10 for our latest contributions to the foundation. And a hearty hello to Jim Zimmerman, and thanks for his contribution to our foundation. And another $10 because the Broncos just announced their new coach, Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator from the Packers, 42-year-old young kid who I think will add a spirit that we've been lacking there for a long time. So,
all right. Was that $30 altogether, Steve? I
saw 20, 10 apiece.
Tammy, I see you waving. Go. Tammy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to offer up $25 and happy bucks for the fantastic work that all our committees are making to help those in need, whether it's in our own communities or internationally. I'm really, really excited that our club is looking at supporting the relocation efforts of Afghan families. Thank you, Connie and Kevin, for your work on that. And all the other committee chairs and members, you're doing such great work. I'm really, really excited. On that note, and I know we can't take pictures of Afghan families, but we can take pictures of all the other great stuff we're doing out in the community, whether it's Reen and Steve delivering to IFCS or Arthur and Connie at Ronald McDonald. Please, please, please take a few photos. Our webmaster, Kari, and myself, who posts on our club Facebook page, is desperately in need of all our great work as Rotarians in action. So please snap a few pictures and text and email them to me, and I'll get them out where we need to get them. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Any more waving hands? I don't see any more waving.
I'll go real quick. So I'm sitting here in my home hosting this Zoom call, and right outside the door, my neighbor is shoveling our driveway and walkway so that I don't have to get my COVID lungs out in the cold air. So $10 to my neighbor and just the good heart he has as I'm waving to him now as he shovels my walkway. Just it's the little things that make you feel at home. So
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. All right. Anybody else going once, going twice? Larson, we miss you doing the auctions here, so I'm doing it here for you. Going 3 times, last happy bucks. All right, I guess we're done. Everybody can take yourself off of mute individually here. And if you would like, please join me in the 4-way test. Of all the things
we think, say, or do, is it the truth, fair to all concerned, for goodwill and better friendships, beneficial to all concerned.
All right, make it fun.
That was terrible.
Yeah, see you, everybody. Thanks again
Bye,
for doing all you
everyone.
do.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.